Hello, Steph.
Justice is coming, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to make
Now
that
more
sound,
than ever. Now more than ever.
mean to make that sound dirty. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing for America. Well, you tweeted all indicators are the Manhattan DA's office is heading toward indicting Donald Trump. I mean, they are the twin velociraptors, Georgia and New York, right? What do you think? Because Georgia is heating up this week as well, right?
Yeah. So first of all, don't worry about Cy Vance announcing that he's not seeking re-election. Frankly, that could be a good thing because I think a fair question is how aggressively has Cy Vance gone after the Trump family, the Trump organization in the 10 plus years he's been district attorney? He has not been aggressive about it. I'm not accusing him of anything, but you know what? Maybe it's time to get some fresh blood in there. But Steph, there are strong indicators that they're moving toward a criminal indictment of Donald Trump because one, they spent, years and took 2 trips to the Supreme Court, and they finally got Donald Trump's tax returns and financial records spanning 8 years. And that's a treasure trove of financial crimes. 2, they hired a really expensive expert forensic accounting firm to build a case against Trump. 3, they hired an expert mob prosecutor in Mark Pomerantz, the former chief of the criminal division at the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office. And 4, they just met for an 8th time with Michael Cohen. I love Michael. I've been on his podcast. I don't think I want to spend 8 separate, interviews with him unless I'm really serious about moving toward indicting Donald Trump. The only open question, Steph, is who gets out of the chute first with a criminal indictment? Is it Georgia or is it New York? I think it's neck and neck, and I think it's a push.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And I have to ask you, so this latest story in the New Yorker, Alan Weisselberg, obviously the CFO of, is reported to be under scrutiny by prosecutors there. Okay, but these details in the New Yorker, Jennifer Weisselberg, who was once married to Alan Weisselberger's son, Barry, expressed uncertainty her former father-in-law would flip. She described her former father-in-law as being in Trump's thrall. His whole worth is, does Donald like me today? And it's his whole life, his core being, he's obsessed. He has more feelings and adoration for Donald than for his wife. Asked if Weisselberg would flip under pressure, she said, I don't know. For Donald, it's a business. For Alan, it's a love affair. For the life of me, I don't understand loyalty to this lifelong criminal, con man, grifter, crook, horrible human being who is not loyal to anybody. Do you?
Yeah, it's equal parts fear, greed, and Stockholm syndrome for the people who are beholden to Donald Trump. I think those 3 things in combination, if you're a really weak person, whether you're an accountant like Weisselberg or a Republican senator, those are the 3 things, fear, greed, and Stockholm syndrome, that keep you loyal to Donald Trump. But here's the thing, Alan Weisselberg has to ask himself one important question. Do I love Donald Trump more, or do I love my sons more? Yeah. Because as we saw in that New Yorker article, 2 of his sons are plugged into Donald Trump pretty closely. One has a direct business relationship. The other has a banking relationship. And the talk is that the prosecutors are also looking at Weisselberg's son. And I have to say, as a former career prosecutor, if, criminality is a family affair, Steph, we will absolutely leverage criminal cases legitimately, ethically, and honestly, leverage criminal cases against the adult children in order to get the father to flip. And that's what's going on right now with Alan Weisselberg.
As usual, there were disgusting parts of the New Yorker story. Weisselberg family was sitting Shiva, and Trump shows up in a limousine. It was for Alan Weisselberg's mother. Trump shows up in a limo, says, "This is where my CFO lives. This is embarrassing." Then he showed various Shiva attendees photographs of naked women with him on a yacht at a Shiva. After that, he starts hitting on me, said the daughter-in-law. Jennifer claimed that Alan Weisselberg, instead of being offended on her behalf, humored his boss. She said he didn't stand up for me. So showing naked pictures at your mother's funeral, I don't know. I would think that might be something that might.
I immediately thought of the the case that E. Jean Carroll has against Donald Trump, because that is moving forward. And I think they are somewhere in the midst of discovery.
Yeah.
So there is so much discovery with respect to Donald Trump's, legendary sexual assaults of women and misbehavior that, frankly, will be in E. Jean Carroll's suit.
Yeah. Well, Glenn, I was just about to ask you about that I hear some experts talking about, that his civil suits could actually be more deadly to him than the criminal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the suit filed by Eric Swalwell, for example, is pretty brilliant. If you read it, it's a lengthy filing, but it's really a good read. It's written for the layman. And he sets out like 9 different reasons why Donald Trump should be held criminally liable for launching the attack on the U.S. Capitol. That personally victimized everybody who was in that building, including Eric Swalwell. Among other things, he is seeking damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress for what Donald Trump put all of the members of Congress and everybody else who was in the building that day through. And that's a good claim. And he also made civil rights claims. There are 9 counts. And frankly, I think they're really strong counts. And that case is absolutely going to proceed with discovery. So you could see Donald Trump ordered to sit for a deposition. And you know what? He doesn't do so good when he's under oath telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's just these stories after story. In terms of the Capitol, how about this guy? The guy arrested Friday for assaulting. These are the we love the police crowd, for the assaulting the D.C. Metro police officer. Confessed to the FBI that he buried the officer's badge in the backyard. He was just arrested in Buffalo. He was caught on video assaulting this officer, Mike Fanone, who was tasered and assaulted by rioters and dragged into the mob. Little by little, now that Merrick Garland is there, right, it really does feel like justice is coming, but more and more evidence is coming out, more and more arrests, right?
Absolutely. And Mike Fanone is a friend and a former colleague of mine. We worked murder cases together, and I was horrified when I saw what they did to Mike. The insurrectionists are getting locked up apace. And if you look at what they're saying, it becomes really important in a future prosecution of Donald Trump for inciting the insurrection. For example, this Q shaman character, the guy with the horns and the tattoos, right? His name is Jacob Chansley, and there's a really long written opinion by Judge Royce Lamberth saying, yeah, I know you want to be released so you can live with your mom and you can eat organic food. That's denied, and let me tell you why. But if you read through that order from Judge Lamberth, right in the middle of it, there's a really important nugget where the Q shaman says, I would not have attacked the Capitol if Donald Trump didn't tell me to. Please, somebody slap an exhibit sticker on it and preserve it for Donald Trump's trial. Because one of the key questions, Steph, in the future trial of Donald Trump for inciting the insurrection is, what were the natural and probable consequences of his statements and his conduct?
Well, that's what
the Q shaman just answered that question for us.
The Navy contractor who wore a Hitler mustache to work, who I guess they didn't suss out any anti-Semitism there till just recently. Anyway, that guy, the Hitler mustache guy, he said, I explicitly was there on the orders of my leader, President Trump, right? I mean, they're all starting to argue that. Is that significant? Legally, I mean.
That is all evidence in Donald Trump's case. What the prosecutors need to do is figure out which of these insurrectionists they want to flip, they want to plead out, and they want to enter into cooperation agreements with, so they can put them on the stand at Donald Trump's trial. And you mentioned Merrick Garland, who is now the AG, and how heartwarming was it? How goosebump inspiring was it to see him arrive on day one, only to have the Department of Justice employees, my friends and former colleagues, burst into applause because they've been delivered from the unethical desert that Bill Barr created at the Department of Justice. Steph, Merrick Garland is going to get after these people. He really is.
Yeah. I cried. I mean, I literally didn't expect that, but like when he held his hand to his heart and acknowledged the applause. I started crying.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, justice is back. Yes,
Yeah.
Travis.
When Bill Barr arrived, I think he held his hand on his wallet, a whole different kind of
Yes, yeah, it
feel,
was a whole
right?
different salute, different
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. And then did the white power. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes,
A little,
Travis.
little bit of breaking news, actually, that Glenn might be able to comment on. This happened about 10 minutes ago. Authorities have arrested two men for assaulting Brian Sitnick, the officer who died. So they've made two arrests there. Tipsters identified them and reported them to the FBI.
That's significant, Glenn. We've been wondering on that, right?
Yeah, great. That was horrific. The reporting is that they used some kind of bear spray that might have put him into a cardiac incident. But I'd like to see what the lead charges are. Did they arrest him only for the assault, or did they tack on the all-important felony murder charge? Because when you kill somebody, even if it's not an intentional killing, if you kill somebody during criminal conduct, well, guess what? You committed a chargeable murder. So I'll be digging into those documents today to see what they're
I
charged.
hope they'll keep that in mind in the Derek Chauvin trial. I hope they'll also keep that in mind. Yes, Travis, what?
I was going to say that according to this, they're saying two men were charged with assaulting him. It's two men, one from Pennsylvania and one from West Virginia. And they are still going to look into seeing if that was the actual what led to the cause of death. But they are talking about the bear spray that was discharged in his face.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you what we do is we often will arrest somebody on the lower level charge that's readily provable. Then we'll put all the evidence in the grand jury. Then we'll return what's called a superseding indictment with all of the charges that these guys are responsible for. So stay tuned, because I suspect they will up those charges.
Glenn, what do you make of this? Officials in Georgia Secretary of State office located a recently released recording of Trump's call to a state investigator in a trash folder on her device. The audio file of the call is between Trump and investigator Francis Watson was discovered because of a public records request. To which I say, God bless public records requests, first of all, because I don't know if that was intentional or not. What do you think that ended up in her trash file?
Yeah. How could it? I don't want to accuse anybody before we know what the facts are, but how can it be unintentional that you have an incriminating recording from the president of the United States concerning his attempt to steal a presidential election, and you inadvertently delete it or forget about it or move it to your trash folder? I don't know. Let's see what the evidence is. But even more importantly and more fundamentally, the evidence of his Georgia state campaign election crimes are on a recorded phone call. Everything that they need to prove criminal conduct by Donald Trump is on a recorded phone call. I need you to give me one more vote, then it will take me to win Georgia. So I think those are indictments of Donald Trump we should see pretty quickly.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, and real quick, Trump could be in real trouble back in New York, as we talked about. His allies, though, are hoping the governor in his new home state will bail him out. Speculation among Florida's Republican governor Ron DeSantis might not honor an extradition request from New York if a bench warrant were issued for Trump's arrest. Legal experts say he might not be able to defy an extradition order with or without help from DeSantis. What's your take on that?
Yeah, extradition between states is largely a ministerial thing. DeSantis can try to kick up some dust and throw up some obstacles. He will be unsuccessful. There's no way. Listen, I know Florida is its own kind of place, but you know what? It's not like a country where we don't have an extradition treaty. We can get Donald Trump from state to state to state so he can answer criminal charges. And Steph, once that first criminal indictment drops against Donald Trump, you're going to see the floodgates open, and every state worth its salt is going to say, I want to bring charges too for what he did in our backyard. So justice, now more than ever, Steph, is coming.
And Ron DeSantis might be in jail himself for trading vaccines to his wealthy donors instead of, I'm just saying that's just a possibility. I'm not sure you can, stop someone's extradition when you're in jail, but that's a whole nother legal point. Glenn, you tweeted, if you agree Trump and company should be held accountable for the avoidable COVID deaths, please consider adding your signature. You're circulating the Team Justice letter to all 50 states and D.C. Attorney General demanding Trump be investigated for avoidable COVID deaths. Forget this talking point from the right about he deserves credit for the vaccine. No, what he deserves is prosecution for mass genocide, in my opinion. I mean, it is incredible, right?
Yeah.
That we're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that, Steph. So we have a draft letter to all 50 state attorneys general, CCing to the governors, and we have thousands and thousands of signatories from every state in the union and the territories urging the state authorities in all 50 states and the District of Columbia to open investigations into preventable COVID deaths. Because as a former career homicide prosecutor, I can tell you, based on the evidence I see, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Jared Kushner, and others absolutely have criminal responsibility for those COVID deaths. So if anybody wants to just put their name, they want to add their name to that letter, it's my pinned tweet, right on my timeline. I think you call it on Twitter, at Glenn Kirschner 2. There's a link where you can sign the letter. Please join us.
And you'll always be number one to me, even though you're Glenn Kirschner 2 on Twitter. And then this one, I think, was for me, just to fulfill all my fantasies. You said, in my opinion, we must try to regulate via the FCC and legislate to prohibit the broadcasting of false speech that presents a serious risk of inciting violence or wrongfully interfering with the right to vote. For too long, we've done nothing for fear of a court striking down anything we try. But you're right. Right-wing radio, Fox News, it's poison. And it is dangerous misinformation that is killing people. And I think that's a line that we've crossed.
Yeah. And nobody wants to go into court and lose. Nobody wants to legislate and then be accused of violating somebody's First Amendment rights. But Steph, the timidity and the fear of failing in court will kill us. It will kill democracy.
Yeah.
So we have to start legislating, and the FCC has to start regulating in a good faith attempt to shut down the disinformation of the Fox News companies of the world. And you know what? If we go into court and the judge brushes us back and says, you kind of went a little too far, fine. We regroup, we do it again, taking our direction from the court, and we stop the disinformation and propaganda madness. The time has come to step up and do this.
Yeah, because hashtag justice is coming. And we went way long because you are Glenn Kirschner and I'm in love. I'll see you next time. Bye, Glenn.
Love you back, Steph. Thanks.
Bye, honey.